Hi students, we are well within your astronomy unit. This video is going to go over outer space, and more specifically modern astronomy as it relates to outer space. So advances in technology have made it easier to gather and study data from space, and here are just a few pictures of those advances in technology: satellites, telescopes, rocket ships, even what astronauts wear, their suits. That is technology. And we have space programs as part of our modern astronomy. So let's start talking about some of those achievements and those space programs themselves. It all started with the development of unmanned rockets. Obviously, we didn't start off with just putting people into space and people on the moon. We had to take baby steps to get to that part. So we started with unmanned rockets, and then we followed those, once those went into orbit successfully, we followed those with animals. A dog and monkeys have been sent into space. Then, once those were successful, we started manned flights, and those started with orbiting around the Earth first. Once those were successful, we moved on to manned flights in space. And finally, steps on the moon. Well, not finally, because we are still pursuing further and further reaches of our space, but for the purposes of today, man stepping on the moon is essentially where we're going to leave off. So the former Soviet Union launched Sputnik 1 in October 5th, 1957, and that was the first man-made object to orbit the Earth. The USSR achieved another milestone by sending the first man into space. And that man was Yuri Gagarin. That was April 12th, 1961, with Vostok 1, and that completed an orbit around the Earth. And here's a picture of Yuri and of Vostok 1. This put the pressure on the United States. So in 1961, President Kennedy made it a goal of sending a human to the moon. That was his goal for the United States. He made this possible through the Apollo program at NASA, and he succeeded in July 21st, 1969 with Apollo 11. So think about that, guys. In 1961, he made it a goal, and in 1969, he achieved that goal. In only 8 short years, we were able to send man to the moon. Neil Armstrong and Edwin or Buzz Aldrin Jr. walked on the moon. And that paved the way for even more adventures, even the journey to Mars. Viking 1 and Viking 2 on Mars were next, and here are some pictures that they sent us. Then in July 4th, 1997, there was the Pathfinder, and that was a 7-month journey to Mars, which contained a small rover called the Sojourner. That's a picture of it there, traveling around Mars, sending data and pictures back to us on Earth. Here's a couple pictures that it sent back. And if you want to watch a quick video about the 10-year anniversary of the Pathfinder, you can find it on YouTube. Here's the link. You can't click here, but you can type that into YouTube. It's very interesting if you want to check that out. Let's move on to the Mir space station. So this is where astronauts actually live out in space. The Russian space station Mir endured 15 years in orbit, 3 times its planned lifetime. It outlasted the Soviet Union that launched it into space. It hosted scores of crew members and international visitors. It raised the first crop of wheat to be grown from seed to seed in outer space. It was the scene of joyous reunions, feats of courage, moments of panic, months of grim determination. It suffered fires and a catastrophic collision and darkened periods of out-of-control tumbling. Again, I have another video and resource here if you want to learn more about the Mir space station. So that floated around Earth for about 15 years, but it has since been decommissioned. That means they're not using it anymore. But that paved the way for the International Space Station, or the ISS. And if you go to nasa.gov, you can learn more about the ISS. You can even learn who's on the station now. So let's review our timeline of modern astronomy. Started with former Soviet Union with Sputnik 1. That was an unmanned spacecraft. And then in 1961, President Kennedy launched the Apollo program with NASA. His goal was to send man to the moon, and they achieved that goal in 1969. In 1976, there was a journey to Mars with Viking 1 and Viking 2. They sent data and pictures back to Earth. And then Pathfinder and Sojourner roamed Mars in 1997. And 1998 was the first component of the ISS launched into outer space. The future of space discovery is almost limitless. We don't know what we will find in space. We don't know what future generations will be able to do. We hope to one day send someone to Mars. But it's almost any possible future. Maybe one day future generations will be living in space or living on another planet. Scientists hope to build more laboratories in space so that they can do more experiments. And even there have been some private trips to space, so maybe in the future there will be more of those. If you want to learn more, you can check out nasa.gov. And that's it for today, guys. Thank you for watching. Please let me know if you have any questions, or check out nasa.gov if you want to learn more.